Since August of 2022, Democrats have literally not lost an election. All right, understand that. Tonight, there's a special House race in Florida. I think it's like House District 35. It's a state House race. It's a swing district.
Only you and Steve knew that number, but go ahead.
Then you have New York 3, the Santos District, is coming up in February. That's a swing district.
Now,
I think we're going to win both of them.
this is, well, he's not wrong. And I hate what he's saying with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch with you. Always good to be with you. And, of course, you can listen coast to coast. You can stream the radio program. There's a lot that we can get into. But I make sure you can watch the simulcast, too, Channel 347 DirecTV, YouTube, and Facebook. Now, keep in mind, I want you to have this perspective. Before I dive into this, I want to set the table, and I always want you all to know where I'm coming from because people get so damn tribal. And I want to win. Like I said, I will run your grandma over to win in 2024. I am not going to apologize for that. I get super Machiavellian about this. I want to win in 2024. This is the last exit off the highway. I cannot overstate it enough. It is so important. And, of course, this is the time that the Republican Party decides that they're going to do things as stupid as possible. And I told you about some of that yesterday. So before I dive into what Carville just said here, keep that up. As I said, and I talked about this last night, I'm voting for the nominee in November. But do not for 1 second pretend, please, let's all be really real about this, that half of 20% is some monumental thing. We don't have President Buttigieg. We don't have all these people who are like, oh, the primary's over, get out. Are you guys high? God love you, but are you high? I literally said that to a friend of mine last night. I said, sweet girl, are you high? It's my direct words. Because you had 115,000. It was a lower turnout. You had 187,000 in 2016. You had a lot lower turnout. I mean, you're talking about a small, and, God love Iowans, but it's a small group of people. That one contest alone does not dictate. And iron sharpens iron. And just because you ran once and then 4 years, there's a lot of stuff that happened from 16 to 20, y'all. And despite town halls and that, apparently none of these questions have really been asked. It's insane to me. But you got to remember this. It is 1/2 of 20%. And he only, and Trump got only half the delegates in Iowa. There's 40 delegates. He only got 20 delegates. That's only half the delegates. He did underperform in Iowa, regardless of what you think. If you want your guy to win, remedy that. I'm telling you just straight fact. I would love to say, oh, the guy I like got the most delegates. That's not how this works. Now, the reason I bring this up, because I'm going to come back to this Carville thing. Like I said, don't pretend that half of 20% is some huge monumental thing. It's not. And it's also weird for me that immigration is the top issue, despite the fact that the frontrunner promoted amnesty for 1.8 million illegal immigrants in 2018. Or that Haley is an establishment-backed neocon. That's true, too. But what has the GOP delivered on, besides losing like it's their jobs since 2016? What have they delivered on? Oh, remember when we got health care? Oh, we didn't get that overturned. You guys remember when our tax cuts were made permanent? Oh, no, that's not what happened either. See, one of the problems of doing things by executive order is that they can be undone by executive order. For me, this is less about the candidates right now, and it's actually more about the absentee leadership of the absolutely spineless GOP, the Republican Party. Because if they manage to, screw up the easiest win ever against one of the worst presidents in history this November, they don't deserve another second of your consideration, and they sure as hell won't mine. Not at all. I mean, they've done nothing to target split ticket voting. They've done nothing to target mail-in ballots. State parties are broke. Minnesota, Massachusetts, Arizona, Colorado. I could go on and on and on. Swing states, guys. We're talking about battleground states. We have 3 battleground states where the Republican state party is broke. And more people, I see these numbers on Fox News, on scene everywhere. More people are leaving the Democrat Party. They're not becoming Republicans. They're staying independent. No one stopped to go, well, why aren't they becoming Republicans? No one's doing that because everybody's a coward. They're not registering as Republicans. The Republican Party has zero plan for this. Instead, they're getting ready in the Senate to screw you all over, all of us, on immigration again during an election year while the rudderless RNC sits on its fat backside filing their nails and doing nothing. And they wonder why they're broke. They wonder why coffers are dry. Now, that being said, Carville brought up two important races. You didn't pay attention to them because you're a normal person who works and has the life. I don't expect, if everybody I talked to knew about all this stuff, I'd be like, you're a robot. Because you work a job and you work a job that's not politics and you're raising your family and you're a robot or an alien, Kane. They're those people, they're those 10-foot aliens on that cliff in Brazil. We figured out who y'all are now. We know. No, there was a race. It was a special election in Florida. It's going down. It flipped. House District 35 from red to blue in a critical special election. Tom Keene flipped a red seat blue, Orlando. He bested Republican Erica Booth. There are two special elections that were swing and they were red and they became blue. Now, you might say, Dana, these are, because they're House seats. You might say, Dana, this is just two special elections. You could say that maybe it's just, two elections. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. But this follows it was the Wisconsin Supreme Court stuff. They had an election in Wisconsin, then Virginia. And remember how Virginia went. They're Commonwealth. So to me, that's 4 elections in a row that Republicans lost. 4 elections where the issues were easy and selling liberty wasn't a tough sell. And they lost them. I'm seeing warning signs in addition to the national surveys. No one else is paying attention to it. I feel like in news, no one's paying attention to it. This is it's a terrifying thing. We talked about the Virginia loss. About how that, yes, a lot of that, some of that was gerrymandering, the redistricting and that, I get it. But don't forget, back in May in Wisconsin, the GOP lost Wisconsin by a landslide. I mean, you had these elections, it was horrific. That was when they were running on abortion. They had their court election. GOP had their backside handed to them. Now in Virginia, I was hoping that there would be a little bit of overperforming by Republicans. Remember that election, but there wasn't. Now that being said, these aren't just two. Where I think that Carville doesn't go far enough is these aren't just two special elections for House and Republicans are losing. Republicans lost the HD one, Orlando one, and New York one too. They're losing. And Carville every now and then is accidentally honest and accidentally gives something up to Republicans. And this is one of those times. He's right here. He is absolutely correct. And so this is a real concern. That's why another reason, and this has nothing to do with Trump, guys. I need everyone to stop again. I will run your grandmother over to win in 2024. I don't care. Iowa was not a landslide. The people who are telling you this, I fear, don't care about the apathy that's going to set in. We lost we lost the Senate because of the special election in Georgia. Republican turnout was so underperforming. It was one of the lowest ever. It was a record low. The idea that Iowa was a landslide, it was not. You have an incumbent who should be, any front runner that is not a Democrat should be the most popular front runner in the history of front running. You had low turnout. Iowans are used to snow. only half of the delegates, and literally only half of 20%. That's not a landslide. That's a sample. I don't want people to get their hopes up. You need to have your expectations managed. That's also part of this. And it is irresponsible for a lot of these people out here to run your hopes up because they want your clicks when you're mad if you're let down. Now, this isn't, I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to get you down on your preferred guy or trying to set up another. I'm telling you this because whether it's plan A or plan B, these things are going to impact regardless who it is. And if you're like me and you want to win, you want this remedied. So that's a problem. Now, remember when I was telling you yesterday, and we're going to get into some of this other stuff, the third pathway that doesn't include Trump or DeSantis? Remember me telling you that yesterday? Because you got Trump back in court today. The legal problems are just going to continue to envelop him. If you have DeSantis fizzle out, you just had all of the Texas establishment that got behind Nikki Haley. I don't know if y'all know this. Texas Scorecard has the story. They all got behind Nikki Haley. And I see some shenanigans that are happening with another Texas House race that I'm watching very closely too. But this story shouldn't be surprising. The entire Bush machine is lining up behind Nikki Haley. There's certain people in Texas, and you know because in Texas you had the Perry camp and you had the Bush camp, and they did not like each other. And the Bush camp has lost some of its shine. Because remember, you had the Jeb Bush's son who was going to run for Texas Land Commissioner. He wanted to run for governor. You got to be Texas Land Commissioner in order to get governor. He wanted to run for higher office. He ended up being thwarted. They lost a little bit of their pool. But nevertheless, they've got everybody. The Roves are behind them. I think his wife is like hosting a fundraiser. She's going to be in Houston and Dallas coming up. And I was looking at the names on this because involved locally, so I know these names. These are the Dade Phelan establishment people. Every one of these names. I see lawyers for this Bush group. I see Rove Associates here. Oh, I see all of it. These are all big-time establishment donors, and they like Nikki Haley. And they are getting behind her. She's going to be getting some good money from Texas. Now, I told you the third way of this is that she could outlast both of them. This is both a delegate race and a survival race. It doesn't matter, win big or whatever. No. It's a survival and a delegate race. And if you want to win, you need to understand how this game's played. You may not like it, but this is the way it is right now, and you got to win it. She could outlast both of them.